Today's episode is all about awards and merit prioritization. So, for my newbie friends, I'd like to talk a little bit about awards, how to get them, go over some examples of awards before we dig into merits and merit prioritization. Generally speaking, awards are broken down into two categories: honors and medals. Now, either way, every time you get one, you receive a merit that you can spend to upgrade any one of these 27 skills on the screen here. So let's just take a look at a couple examples of some recent honors that I've gotten just for fun. Let's see, reinforced. Gain 10 million defense. That's battle stats. Triple tap. Achieve 3 headshots in a row. I think I just got lucky with that one. There and back. Travel 1,000 times. Achieve 100 personal perks. So these are all kinds of achievements that I've gotten. Unlock a backdrop from the token shop. I forget what event that was. And then over to check out some of my medals. Stay married to a single person for 1,000 days. That's level 19 for that category of marriage commitment. So yeah, I want to say every 50 days that you stay committed to the same marriage, you get another merit every 50 days. I think the same might go for faction loyalty as well. So there are advantages and rewards for staying loyal in Torn City. Also, commit 10,000 fraud crimes. That's level 16 of this medal. So that's all those arson warehouses. Okay, that's enough. I just wanted to show some examples. But you get honors and you get medals for all kinds of things. So I'll probably have another episode another time about going merit hunting and how to go about doing that. So now, before we get into the thick of merit prioritization, I would first say that my strategy is to pick a small number of priority upgrades to boost to the max, then identify other upgrades that are of interest and upgrade them moderately. So that's kind of my general strategy, and the reason for that is because the first 5 pips that you purchase for any upgrade, you'll be spending 15 merits on those 5 pips, or an average of 3 merits per pip. Whereas pips 6 through 10, you're spending 40 merits on those, or an average of 8 merits per pip. So the first 5 pips are a lot more affordable. So generally, I pick a couple priorities, push those to 10, and then I look at everything else that I'm interested in, and I spend 1 on all of them. And then I go back, and then I spend a second 1 on all of them. And I slowly work my way up from there. But now that that's out of the way, let's take a look at the actual upgrades themselves. And I would really put these in 3 different categories, okay? The first 12 I consider to be miscellaneous, and that's everything from nerve bar through employee effectiveness. I recommend most new players just pay attention to the first 12. The next 4 are strictly to boost battle stats, and the final 11 are all weapon mastery skills. So if you're brand new, your battle stats are going to be really small, and to boost your battle stats by a few percentage points, if your battle stats are really low to begin with, is just insignificant. And then weapon mastery, when you're brand new, if you're not doing a lot of ranked warring and other things, it might not be a good use of your spend. So For new players, I recommend focusing first on the first 12 miscellaneous, and not even all of them either. So of the 12 miscellaneous upgrades here, the two that everybody generally recommends the most are education length and bank interest. So education length, it decreases your education course length by 2% per pip. So you can have a 20% time reduction in all education courses. 20%, that's pretty big. It's especially powerful if you also get the passive job perk from the education job track, which I believe reduces your education course by a further 10%. There's also a stock benefit block that you can purchase once you have the money. That might not be for fresh new players, but if you can afford it, then get the passive job perk, get the stock benefit block, and maximize your merit spend on your education reduction. And between all three of those, your education course length is going to be streamlined. And then bank interest, this increases your bank interest by 5% per pip. So you can have a significant boost to your bank interest there for better passive income. And again, Torn City Bank is the best place for your money to work for you in the game. So the best passive profits come from Torn City Bank. You might as well boost the interest rate. That gets to be even more important after you already have a lot of money in the bank. If you don't have any money, then bank interest rate isn't going to make that big of a difference for you. As your bank investments grow in size, it becomes more interesting to boost your bank interest. I also have personally made a decision to max out critical hit rate for the benefit of my combat in ranked wars and other things, but I wouldn't recommend that for newbies. Nerve bar increases maximum nerve bar by 1 point. This one I think is very useful in some circumstances, and it depends on which crimes you're focusing on and how much nerve they cost. So for example, without spending any merits to boost my total nerve bar, my nerve with my natural nerve combined with faction nerve would be 95. And I'm committing arson warehouse crimes, which cost 11 nerve. So by spending 4 merits, or not 4 merits, but rather by spending 10 merits on 4 pips of nerve bar upgrades, I now have a 99 maximum nerve, which means when I wake up in the morning, I can commit 9 full arson crimes and fully utilize my entire nerve bar. So it's just something that I did for my own efficiency. Life points seems boring to me, but it doesn't hurt, so I've still spent a few merits in it. Crime experience. This is probably one of my more favorite upgrades because the higher your success rate is for your crimes, the more crime experience you gain, and it just helps that snowball grow faster. We've talked about education length, awareness. This one's kind of controversial. A lot of people think this is a waste of your time. I know some people that have put a lot of merits into awareness, and they think that they get more items in the city. I've done it in the past, and I wasn't really pleased with the results. So I wouldn't max it out, but I might put a little bit into it. Bank interest we talked about. Now here are these next 3 I would group together, and they all have to do with the outcome of an outgoing attack. So when you mug someone, you can get more money by mugging them. When you attack someone, you can have a higher chance of stealthing them. Or when you hospitalize them, you can leave them in the hospital for longer. These are really not for newbies, in my opinion. If you're new, you're not going to be getting much money by mugging people. But if you're further along in your gameplay, you can get into buy mugging and you can make a lot of money doing that. So if you've got the stats for it and are interested, then spend your merits here and go buy mugging, and you can get a lot of extra money doing it. Stealth, if you're really interested in stealthing people, I would tell you to make sure that you're using a diamond-bladed knife or another weapon that also has a high stealth stat, and go to the gym and train your dexterity, because dexterity is a big factor in stealthing attacks. Oh, just for anybody who's unfamiliar with stealthing attacks, that's when you attack someone anonymously and they don't know who it was that attacked them. Leaving people in the hospital for longer, that's not going to be very helpful for new players. Again, that's more of a late game upgrade, in my opinion. Addiction mitigation, also I think a later game upgrade. I'm, after 3 years and starting to become a more serious player, I'm actually a lot more interested in this now than I used to be. So I might actually start spending some more on this. It just reduces the negative effects of addiction. And if you're playing this game, if you want to be competitive, you have to consume as much Xanax as you can afford, because Xanax is the cheapest form of energy, and energy is the most important resource in the game. There's also employee effectiveness. I don't recommend this for new players. It doesn't benefit you. It benefits the director of your company if you work at a player-ran company. Eventually, you can see I have been spending on it now. Eventually it becomes more useful, but if you're new, maybe put 1 or 2 in there, but I wouldn't spend a lot. And then there's the 4 upgrades for battle stats. They're straightforward. The more you spend there, the more it boosts your battle stats. I don't recommend this for new players, because 3% of your stats, when your stats are really low, is a waste of time. But if your battle stats are a lot higher, that's when it starts to make more sense to spend more merits on these upgrades. And then there's all these 11 upgrades at the bottom that are all weapon mastery. If you're new, I recommend you ignore them. If you know what types of weapons you prefer to use, then by all means, increase your mastery for that weapon type. Personally, I use a diamond-bladed knife all the time, so I have a few pips in piercing mastery. So that's pretty much it. If you're new, generally prioritize your education length and your bank interest, and then look at those 2 primarily to boost first, and spend your merits on some other items. I would really target a few others, basically just from the top miscellaneous section. Maybe your nerve bar, maybe your critical hit rate, definitely your crime experience I would boost, awareness, maybe a little bit. So if I were new, I would only spend merits on the top 7 upgrades, and I would focus first on education length and bank interest. But as you progress, definitely spend more on some other upgrades. And if you're worried about making a wrong decision about how you spend your merits, or if your priorities change over time, don't worry, because every single year on January 1st, Ched Byrne and the game gives every single player a free merit reset, and that can be used from the points building. If you've already used your free reset for the year, and if you don't want to wait until January 1st of the next calendar year, you can choose to spend points on an additional merit reset. I've never spent points to do it, but I have used the free merit resets, and I was pleased when I realized that you get one every year, because things change, your play style changes, maybe your life circumstances change. Hey, maybe eventually you'll get to the point where you complete all of your education, and if you've maxed out your education, that's 55 merits that you've spent to get to the top of that upgrade. So whenever you finally get to that day of celebrating, not only do you get to sell your stock benefit block that you used for education, but you also get to repurpose those merits, which is nice. But that's about it. That's all I have for you today. If you enjoy the content that I put together, it does take quite a bit of editing and preparation. If you appreciate it, please like this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, certainly subscribe. And if you're here to participate in my YouTube giveaways, because I give away a donator pack each month, make sure that you comment on this video and leave your Torn ID in your comment. That's the best way for me to make sure you are entered in that drawing. Thanks, everybody.